I think what teams are feeling and doing, right, is there's uneven adoption. There is inconsistent expectation. There's silent tension, right? Because very few folks are willing to sort of raise their hand and call it. And very often we're seeing duplicative work, right? So AI is doing something, humans are doing something, and the behaviors that all of this is manifesting itself in there's things like hesitation, right? You have teams who are over relying on AI versus teams who are completely avoiding it and hoping that they can sort of push that impending doom. There's no shared understanding anymore of what this means. And then I'd say the last is there's this trend I'm noticing in the work that I do around what I'll call escalation overload. And it's not because leaders are getting pulled into more decisions that in prior days their teams would have been able to handle. And it's really because it's not that people are no longer incompetent, people just don't feel confident, right, in the decision criteria. And I think this is why communication, um, being willing to be transparent about the role that AI will be playing in organizations. Is it replacing tasks? Is it replacing workflows? Is it replacing people? What do you require people to do differently, right? Giving people the support in terms of the capabilities, the attributes, the skills that people need to invest in. I think this is why this category is particularly near and dear to my heart, because I think this will be where companies can either help make it or really struggle through it. So
But
I'm
there's
going
on
to
the
pause.
one hand that there's a need to over communicate in the sense that we've got lots of change happening and there needs to be a more regular cadence of communication. And on the other hand, we're hearing from team members, stop it, there's too much information. I can't cope with all these meetings. I can't cope with all these serious and important urgent messages, and a tendency to switch off. So what I notice is the great leaders who are really navigating this effectively are brilliant narrative weavers. And by that, I mean that they're able to make sense of the change that's happening now and where we are proactively wishing to direct that change. And they're able to do that in an extremely simple way that the great communicators of these times actually take advice from or inspiration from bite-sized social media style communication. Not to say that it needs to be all sort of psychedelic and in your face, but it does need to be the minimum amount of information that has the maximum amount of impact. I call that a wedge communication. Like, how do we get in there to the smallest bit of information, the first bit of information that people need to know, and then scale it out in a way that makes